Joe Levine.
I hate to follow that guy. My name's Joe Levine. I'm a resident of New York City and Wayne County, Pennsylvania, in the Upper Delaware. I'm an architect and co-founder of NYH2O and Damascus Citizens. Quote, "Let the science and the facts make the determination, not emotion and not politics," is what Governor Cuomo said recently. This is consistent with what he said about a year earlier. If it was safe, if the watersheds were protected, and that it would create jobs, great, but you need the facts, and we don't have the facts, Cuomo said. And I would not do anything until the facts are determined by bona fide studies. To date, the DEC has not complied with the governor's statements. The SGEIS is the drafting of regulations. It is not a bona fide study. There's an absence of science in these regulations. I'll point out just one. In the executive summary of the revised SGEIS is a statement on page 11 and 12. This statement dismisses the possibility that fracking will cause migration of deep formation fluids. It reads, quote, "Chapter 5 and 6 contain analyses that demonstrate that no significant adverse impact to water resources is likely to occur due to underground vertical migration of fracturing fluids through the shale formations. The developable shale formations are vertically separated by potential freshwater aquifers by at least 1,000 feet of sandstone and shales of moderate to low permeability. Accordingly, there is no likelihood of significant adverse impacts from underground migration of fracturing fluids." Unfortunately, this is not based on science. It's not consistent with the known science of migration fluids and gases through fractured bedrock. I'll submit 10 reports by prominent geologists and hydrogeologists which attest to the fact that that as a result of fracking, toxic and radioactive fluids will travel through migration pathways, both existing and induced by fracturing. That migration will occur is predictable and also well documented. The science says that there is no way to control, predict, or mitigate the migration of toxic chemicals and radioactive substances released by fracking. The SGEIS does not include reliable, up-to-date information on faults and fractures in New York State. Specifically, Robert Jacoby's peer-reviewed paper of 2002 shows the extent of almost infinite faults and fractures. The SGEIS uses a map, an outdated map from 1977, to document faults and fractures. Figure 4.13 shows essentially no faults and fractures where the shale is. The faults appear to have been erased. For this reason alone, the SGEIS should be rewritten, and the data from the Jacoby study, along with scientific studies on migration referenced herein, must be evaluated and integrated into a bona fide study. The USGS has published a paper that documents that gas has moved 50 miles or more horizontally and migrated vertically at least 1,000 feet through relatively impermeable shale and carbonate, probably facilitated by fractures and faults.
Thank you. Your time is up.
These regulations will not make drilling safe. These regulations would not have eliminated one occurrence of contamination that has occurred in Pennsylvania. Regulations will not make fracking safe.
Thank you. Lisa Fensick.
Hello, my name is Lisa Fensick. I truly value the opportunity to be here and speak with you today. I'm a public health professional, and I have spoken with hundreds of concerned citizens throughout the city, the state, and surrounding areas. And it is clear to me that people do not want the gas industry and fracking in our communities. This is evidenced by the countless local fracking bans that are being passed around the state, around the country, and around the globe. Why do communities not want this industry? Because of the clear records of personal and ecological devastation in areas where fracking is allowed to happen. The very fact that the industry is exempt from the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Superfund Act demonstrates fracking cannot be done safely. No one should be above the law. No amount of regulations can prevent accidents that threaten our personal and community health and vitality. It is absolutely unacceptable to move forward with this extreme form of gas extraction. Apply the precautionary principle now. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll call the next speaker, and then we're going to need to call the next 10 people. Maria Brinkman.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Brinkman, and I'm here today to represent the Peace and Justice Committee of St. Francis Xavier, a Roman Catholic Jesuit parish located on 16th Street in Chelsea. Thank you for the opportunity to offer our comments on the SGEIS report. At St. Francis Xavier, we feel protecting our safe water supply is a social justice issue and one of tremendous concern for our faith community. We are stewards of God's earth, and our guiding principle is to care for all of God's creation. This begins with protecting the health of all people. To that end, the revised SGEIS fails to address public health impacts. Nationwide, there is overwhelming anecdotal evidence from patients who report an extensive list of serious medical problems that they attribute to the industrialization of the residential community. These cases must be diligently investigated in relation to the practice of hydraulic fracturing and the findings made public. Without this most basic preliminary research, we cannot even consider fracking our state. Speaking further to the health of our community, hydraulic fracturing most pointedly threatens our water supply. Specifically, a leading concern voiced today is the buffer zone around the New York City watershed. The 1,000-foot buffer zone outlined in the DEC report is scarily inadequate and leaves New York City's treasured water supply open to formidable risk. In my prepared comments, I delve into the necessary increased negotiations. However, today I've been awakened by comments so far, specifically Josh Fox's challenge to get the premise right. In direct response to his challenge, I choose to omit the following comments. I am rejecting the how approach to this conversation, and any talk about regulating the practice of hydrofracking plays right into the wrong premise. So I'll bring my remarks to a close. It is criminal to so recklessly endanger a natural resource as essential to life as water. Hydraulic fracturing pollutes the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the earth we inhabit. The contamination resulting from this practice is an unacceptable risk. The St. Francis Xavier community strongly supports a more prudent approach to solving our energy needs, one that carefully considers the health and safety of all people, and one that recognizes our great responsibility to care for our earth. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, I'd like to call the next set of speakers, and I would ask the people seated in the front row to vacate those seats up for the next group of speakers. Gus Tebow, Jana Olson, Jeff Zimmerman, Danielle Gerrard, Thomas Bird, Paul Sheeman, Richard Tashuti, Bataya Luton, Hillary Baum.
And we're going to call up David Braun to the microphone.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us to have this hearing and have our voice. I think you're hearing it. My name is David Braun. I represent an organization called United for Action, and I am the campaign coordinator for the movie Gasland. My technical comments will follow in writing. I'm here today to talk specifically about hubris. Seriously, to move forward with this, you have to be kidding me. Everywhere that this has been done, water has been poisoned, people have gotten sick, animals have died, the air has been polluted, it has been problematic to say the least. But you think with these inadequate regulations that somehow you are going to do this safely. That is called hubris. Excessive pride. Everywhere, you might want to consider at this point a way out, maybe an alternative. The movement is multiplying. This is a 1,000 person seat room. It was filled today by people, with probably about 10 exceptions that were paid to be here by the industry. The rest of us took our day off to be here and are here on our own time. And why do you think that the American Petroleum Institute is spending $20 million on hiring a new PR firm to promote this practice? It's obviously not safe. They can't beat us in the truth game, so they're trying to win on the PR game, and you guys are buying into it. Where are the job losses report in this document? Where are they, and why aren't they there? It is an insult. Where are the health impacts? The bottom line is this is energy policy. General Electric tells us that in 5 years, Mark Ruffalo just talked about 5 years, that's our window of time that we have. In 5 years, that solar energy is actually going to be cheaper than any energy created by fossil fuels. If we know this, then we need to move towards a build-out towards renewable energy and start running things off electricity powered by renewables and not fossil fuels. You're taking us in the wrong direction, and shame on you for doing it. The answer is no. No, 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 no.
Next speaker, Gus Tebow.
Hi, that's a hard act to follow. My name is Gus Tebow. I'm the co-chair of the Sierra Club Gas Drilling Task Force. However, I'm speaking personally and on behalf of all of the grassroots groups across the state that are for either banning or criminalizing this crazy idea, this crazy activity. First and foremost, as others have mentioned, fracking is intrinsically unsafe. It cannot be done safely. It is not America's or New York State's answer to its economic woes, nor the road to energy independence. It is a Trojan horse. The reserves are 80% less, according to the USGS, than stated in the study. Well life is not 30 years, but more likely between 5 and 10 years. Hydrocarbon gas, let's call it what it is, will not bring much economic prosperity into the state, if any. 80% will leave the state. It is capital intensive. Rigs, trucks, compressors, pipes, these all come from out of state. Most of the labor will come from out of state. The new local jobs will be temporary and limited. The industry jobs math is very, very fuzzy, to say the least. Here's what's not addressed in the economic study. 1, predictable loss of jobs in tourism, recreation, farming, wineries, you name it, all the jobs that rely on a pristine, beautiful, productive, healthy landscape. 2nd, the mortgage dilemma. Properties are placed out of compliance with mortgage contracts by adjacent drilling, and there is an inability to get mortgages once your property is leased. 3, the value of ecological services provided by the environment, such as carbon sequestration, air and water filtration, stormwater management, to name a few. With respect to the Trojan horse, energy independence, look at the history in the Barnett Shale. In a study of 9,100 of the 15,000 wells in the Barnett, only 6% are considered to meet minimum economic thresholds. The rest are uneconomic. That's a lot of environmental and community degradation for shooting a lot of blanks. With gas prices at $4, it is not economic. It is not expected to be economically viable until it reaches $5, which could be by 2020. So why the hell do it? Asia wants our gas. The The price in the Asian market is indexed to oil, which puts it at $12 to $15 per barrel and makes it profitable even with shipping. There is a great push for pipelines and LNG plants to export this gas.
Thank you.
America will not be powered by cheap domestic gas. It will be turned into a fragmented and industrial landscape. We need to ban fracking now, if not criminalize this lethal activity.
Thank you. Jana Olson. Jana Olson? Not here? Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
My name is Jana Olson. I'm a citizen in New York City, former citizen of the Gulf Coast. And since 1988, my mother has been a shut-in, completely debilitated with multi-systemic mutations and a permanently but not fatally compromised immune system owing to toxic endocrine-interrupting chemicals she was exposed to through undisclosed ingredients in a cleaning product. My mother, like Dr. Sandra Steingraber, who has testified at a number of your hearings, and certainly outside many more of them, has lived a tremendously compromised life as a canary in the coal mine owing to chemical exposure. After living in New York State for 16 years, I am appalled to see our state providing an open invitation to this federally unregulated industry exempt from the disclosure of any chemicals used in the more than 900 products engaged in hydraulic fracturing. I am astonished to have learned that our state has already permitted the processing of Pennsylvania's fracking wastewater in New York Municipal Public Water Works, not designed, as none are, to handle this level of toxicity. This is unconscionable. We have been watching the efforts of existing elected officials working within our political system on our behalf, like those officials who are here today, like Congressman Maurice Henchy, and they appear to be falling upon deaf ears. Theirs are efforts that accurately reflect the will of the people to ban this disastrous practice, which now shows increasing evidence of crippling illness and death among human beings and animal populations in the 34 states where the current practice is now underway. Congressman Henchy has stated regarding the New York State evaluation process that, quote, the SGEIS falls far short of what is needed to protect local communities from the risks posed by shale gas drilling and does not fully mitigate potential threats to public health, drinking water, air quality, and municipal infrastructure. 2 years ago, in response to the first draft SGEIS, Congressman Henchy provided 11 detailed recommendations to mitigate the risks of shale gas drilling, and these included a cumulative impact study, a ban on the use of toxic chemicals in fracking fluids, and a requirement for the full public disclosure of all chemicals used in the fracking process, among others. Unfortunately, these recommendations are not included in the newly released SGEIS, and others are only partially addressed. The practice of hydraulic fracturing is not merely a human health concern. It is abject, systematized torture and murder for profit, plain and simple.
Thank you. Next speaker is Jeff Zimmerman.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Zimmerman. I'm legal counsel to Damascus Citizens for Sustainability and NYH2O. I want to raise for your consideration what I believe may be the most important, but so far the most overlooked public health issue involved with Marcellus gas. That issue is radon and the potential exposure of everyone in the New York City metropolitan area to radioactivity levels over 100 times the current exposure level. Radon is an odorless, tasteless, colorless, inert, noble gas. It is produced by the radioactive decay of radium, a radioactive element with a half-life of 1,600 years. Radium is present in shale gas deposits in several parts of the United States. As gas is produced from these shale plays, radon is part of the gas that is transported by pipelines to areas where it is consumed. Most of the natural gas distributed and burned in the New York City area comes from the south, from Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico. The radon levels at the wellhead in these fields average about 4 to 5 picocuries per liter. The travel time to get this gas to New York is about 7 days. With a half-life of 3.8 days, the radon level, once it gets to your stovetop in Manhattan, is about 1 picocurie per liter, well below EPA's action level of 4 picocuries. Marcellus gas has higher radium levels and therefore higher radon levels, roughly 140 to 150 picocuries per liter. The travel time from the Marcellus areas of the southern tier of New York and northeastern Pennsylvania to the city is about 12 to 15 hours. The decay of radon over this transit time will be 10 to 15%, resulting in a radon level in Manhattan apartments in the range of 120 to 140 picocuries per liter, over 2 orders of magnitude greater than the EPA action level. This is a very significant public health issue. EPA's estimate of excess cancer deaths from radon exposure nationwide is 21,000 a year. Calculations I have seen estimated so far for the radon from the Marcellus gas is over 13,000 additional radon-induced deaths per year. More than a 50% increase over EPA's nationwide number, and this is all going to happen in a very small area of the United States we call New York City. Neither the SGEIS nor the proposed regulation address the radon issue at all. That's a mistake. Public health issues must be looked at very carefully concerning radon. Thank you.
Thank you. Danielle Gerrard.
My name's Danielle Gerrard. I'm the president of Three Parks Independent Democrats. We're an Upper West Side political club. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner, for this opportunity for us to voice our opposition to the draft SGEIS and in favor of a statewide ban on fracking. It is our position that by exempting the New York City and Syracuse watersheds, the draft SGEIS admits that fracking cannot be done safely anywhere in New York, and it's not even much of an exemption. Horizontal drills could still reach under watershed lands. With this testimony, we are submitting copies of nearly 2,000 letters gathered on Manhattan's Upper West Side, calling on the governor to issue an outright ban on fracking in New York State. First, whatever the currently perceived economic benefits of fracking, whether to the state or to individual landowners, they will be wiped out by the taxes and fees necessary to fund filtration systems and other safety measures. Second, your agency, charged with oversight and inspections, has had its staff cut drastically. In 2008, you had 19 staff people to police over 13,000 existing conventional gas wells. How could the DEC possibly adequately monitor these and the proposed tens of thousands of fracking wells? Third, the state has no contingency plans and no resources to deal with a worst-case emergency, particularly one that could affect drinking water. Fourth, there is no requirement that drilling companies have the finances, including insurance, the equipment, or the knowledge to deal with an emergency. Three Parks has specific comments regarding the draft SGEIS. There's no way to dispose of hazardous fracking wastewater. The SGEIS does not classify fracking waste as hazardous. They could be sent to treatment plants not equipped to remove toxins. The DEC itself has questioned New York's capacity and ability to treat fracking wastes. Two, there is no public health analysis. Although toxic chemicals used in fracking are carcinogenic, there is no public health impact analysis in the draft SGEIS. Fracking-related air pollution and water contamination have serious effects, especially on the elderly and children. Number three, the positive economic impact of fracking is vastly overstated. The SGEIS does not include any analysis of jobs lost to agriculture and tourism due to fracking. Industry and researchers consistently overstate the number of jobs for locals created by fracking. New York State gets no direct revenue from fracking. Finally, we already know that property values plummet where fracking takes place. Number four, proposed provisions for disclosing the contents of frack fluid leave a loophole intact. The The SGEIS allows applicants for permits to avoid publicly identifying fracking chemicals under a trade secrets exemption. This will effectively allow the use of undisclosed toxins while wasting hundreds of thousands of gallons of a precious natural resource. 3 Parks urges Governor Cuomo to keep his campaign promise to, quote, not support any drilling that would threaten the state's major sources of drinking water, close quote. That should mean all sources of drinking water. It would violate plain common sense for the governor to approve fracking or for any legislator to vote in favor of it. As the 2,000 letters submitted with our testimony show, Governor Cuomo's constituents clearly want him to ban fracking now.
Thank you, Ms. Gerrard. Thomas Byrd.
My name is Thomas Byrd, lifelong resident of Bronx, New York. New Yorkers have never been confronted with a public health and safety issue as complex, unpredictable, and long-lasting as the proposed hydrofracking of natural gas. With nuclear energy, waste storage is the fundamental issue. At least it's concentrated in a few specially constructed and constantly monitored locations on site with trained staff, numerous sensors, and warning devices. Chemical and radioactive waste from hydrofracking, however, will remain underground at thousands of well sites within sieve-like shale, and all the remainder would be injected into old abandoned wells or new ones. A vast underground experiment in dangerous chemistry. A new chemical-free alternative drilling technology is just now being tested in Texas. DEC has the obligation to review this option. Why is it not possible for DEC to benefit from the science-driven study underway at the US EPA? Before permitting begins, will DEC require the industry to build a facility capable of removing radioactivity and the 600 chemicals from the voluminous fracking wastewater? Currently, no such operation exists in New York. Trucking is not a solution. As one example, just how do benzene molecules get separated from water molecules in a treatment process? Because of the volume of waste, will DEC place a limit on the overall number of wells drilled? Radon gas inevitably mixes with the methane gas. How will the radon gas be separated out before the natural gas is sold to consumers? And how and where will the radon gas be contained and stored? Does burning the radon gas eliminate its radioactivity? Applications have already been filed for compressor stations with 3,400 horsepower engines to operate 24/7. Conveniently left out was the resulting decibel level. Scientific studies confirm negative impacts on mental health from constant industrial noise. How will DEC prevent this threat to public health? If the necessary DEC funding is not forthcoming, will the number of permits be reduced proportionally? The American Bar Association recently declared that gas leases with potentially dangerous activities violate the terms and conditions of bank mortgages. The mortgage takes priority. If drilling proceeds, foreclosures might become an issue. How has DEC dealt with this little-known legal conflict? DEC is economically mistaken if it believes capital-intensive gas drilling can coexist with labor-intensive tourism. Who in their right mind would vacation within a vast industrial landscape? Secrecy agreements. Drillers require residents as a condition of remediation must be prohibited. DEC cannot monitor pollution problems if they are not subject to disclosure. Who will be responsible for remediation when a gas company declares bankruptcy?
Thank you, sir.
Independence.
Your time is up, sir. Thank you. Your time is up. Bataya Luton.
Sorry, I'm vertically challenged. My name is Boche Linton. I'm president of the Coalition for a Livable West Side, and I want to tell you how impressed I am by all the brilliant speakers who cited fact after fact after fact why fracking in all of New York State should be banned. Most of the issues that I covered in my previous statement were covered, but this one was not. Why is DEC continuing to hold hearings on the SGEIS when the key New York State agencies, New York State's Department of Health, Department of Transportation, Public Service Commission, and the Department of Agriculture and Markets have not completed estimates of the demands that drilling 1,400 new wells each year will place on their agencies in terms of staff and resources. Why is Governor Cuomo pushing the state toward drilling before those agencies can issue their reports? Ban fracking all over New York State.
Thank you.